Hey everyone, it's your girl Shauna J. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I so appreciate you being here. Today's video is specifically for those of you guys who may find yourself in the predicament that I typically find myself in, which is that you enjoy fruity floral fragrances, especially this time of year. It's getting warm. This is the kind of fragrance that we typically want to reach for, but I think the issue with these kind of fragrances that I find sometimes is that they come off a bit basic. I hate to use the term basic. Now, for the purpose of this video, I am going to be a bit hypocritical and I'm going to use the term basic to describe fragrances that are just typical, generic, blah, boring. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that they don't really step out of the box. They're not cut edge. They're not very interesting. There comes a time in a woman's life where she wants something a little bit more interesting, but she still wants to smell youthful and flirty and I don't know, pretty, but we just want something, just a little something to be added to these fragrances. Now you guys are in luck because I have a couple of fragrances that I would categorize as fruity floral fragrances, but there's just something special. There's just something about these fragrances that kind of like put them out of the box and make them just special and still very pretty and still very wearable. Whew, what an intro. Anyway, guys, let's jump right into these fragrances. So one more thing, it's gonna be fast. Some of these fragrances aren't really categorized as fruity floral fragrances, but they made this list because they fit that typical profile of being a fruity floral fragrance. With that being said, let's jump right into these fragrances. Okay, guys, so the first fragrance that I'm gonna reach for here is one that's a little new to my collection. It is Perfect by Marc Jacobs. I think this perfume is the epitome of a fruity floral type of scent with just a bit of edge to it. There's just something unique about this fragrance, but something still very pretty and feminine and wearable. So I think most people will like this fragrance, even if you are one that really shies away from unique fragrances. Let me just quickly read the notes for you guys. So the top notes of this fragrance are rhubarb and narcissus. In the middle we have almond milk, and in the base we have cashmere and cedar. It has a very tart, fruity opening with a bit of a floral touch. But a couple of minutes in, the almond milk comes in, and that's where things get pretty interesting. Once it hits the mid of the fragrance, there's no way you could call this fragrance a typical, boring, basic kind of fragrance, because the almond milk here is just so unique. I've really never experienced almond milk like this in a fragrance. It's just beautiful. That rhubarb gives it that fruity, tart, youthful kind of scent, but the almond milk just comes in and adds a bit of warmth and nuttiness and creaminess to the fragrance, and the cashmere just adds a bit of muskiness to the perfume. So this is definitely one of those fragrances you should look into if you like fruity floral fragrances that could be very people pleasing, but you want something with just a little bit of an edge to it. So yeah, this is Perfect by Marc Jacobs. The next fragrance that I have on this list is a very unique fragrance. It screams a fruity floral, especially fruity, but it is not typical, and it's very unique. And dare I say, very polarizing. You're either gonna love or hate this fragrance, I promise you, but it's gonna give what we're asking for, okay? It's gonna give fruity floral, and it is gonna give very unique. Now, the fragrance that I'm talking about here is from the house of Michael Kors, and this one is called Sexy Blossom. The first time I smelled this fragrance, I was like, what the hell is this? My mind was honestly blown. So let me quickly go through the notes for you guys. This fragrance opens up with lychee, green leaves, dewdrop, and rose petals. In the heart we have peony, lily of the valley, freesia, and orchid. And in the base we do have musk, ambroxan, and sandalwood. So the most dominant note that I'm getting here is the lychee. This is a lychee fragrance. No doubt about it, very unapologetic. You have to be into that note in order to like this fragrance. Lychee is known for giving off a sweet, aquatic, fruity type scent, and it's usually very tart. It kind of reminds me of rhubarb sometimes. I think both notes can be compared because they do give off the same vibe. Rhubarb is a little bit more vegetal in my opinion, and it's a little bit harder to like, I would say. If it's done right, it's beautiful. You know, you could take Delina, for example. That rhubarb note is amazing, and a lot of people like the rhubarb note in that fragrance. And I think the lychee here is kind of feeling a little rhubarbish. And I think that's what makes this fragrance so unique smelling. I'm also able to pick up that peony, so you're getting a pretty delicate pink floral vibe under that lychee. And we also have dewdrops, which adds a bit of greenness, a bit of dewiness to this fragrance. For me, I was in shock the first time I smelled this fragrance. I was like, oh hell, now I want my money back. What is this weirdness? But the more I experienced this fragrance and the more I became familiar with this scent profile, the more I was like, oh my God, this is a beautiful spring-like summery type fragrance. But yes, it does step out of the box just a little bit, but it's going to give you what you're asking for. It's going to give you fruity. It's going to give you floral, feminine, girly, pretty. But yeah, it does have a little bit of edge to it. And I do like the fact that it does perform well. So it is a long-lasting fragrance. So yeah, definitely check this fragrance out if you want to smell unique but feminine and girly all at the same time. So yeah, Sexy Blossom by Michael Kors. So here we're looking at fragrance number 3, which is one that I definitely had to add to this list. And I know for the most part you guys are probably expecting this one to be on this list because it most definitely does fit the bill. And even though it's not a personal favorite of mine, I think it does deserve to be on this list. Yeah, it's a very popular fragrance, so a lot of you guys may have smelled this one, heard of this one, seen this one somehow. It is from the house of Dolce & Gabbana, and it is no other than L'Imperatrice. This fragrance right here is super polarizing. You're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. I don't think there's so much of an in-between. Now for me, I no longer wear this fragrance. I've tried it and I have concluded that this fragrance is not for me, but that doesn't mean it's a bad fragrance. And it doesn't mean that other people out there don't enjoy this one. A lot of people enjoy this one, hence the reason why it is so popular. So this fragrance is categorized as a floral aquatic scent. It does feel very fruity and it does have an aquatic undertone to it. Now I'm gonna read you guys the notes. This opens up with kiwi, rhubarb, and pink pepper. In the heart we have watermelon, cyclamen, and jasmine, and in the base we have lemon tree, musk, and sandalwood. Now the most dominant note in this fragrance is the rhubarb, and I think for the most part this fragrance introduced us to rhubarb. Even if we've smelt it before, we probably never paid attention to rhubarb until we experienced this fragrance. Rhubarb is known for having fruity, tart, spicy, green, vegetal type scent. This fragrance is most definitely oozing rhubarb. It's very watery. It smells organic. It smells refreshing. So there's a lot of positives to this fragrance. But for some people, the rhubarb note may be a little bit much. But if you like rhubarb, this fragrance is definitely for you. I do like the fact that this fragrance is very atypical. It's not given what a lot of fruity type of fragrances give. It did definitely step out of the box, but it still manages to be very likable, which is why this fragrance is just so popular. If you're into fragrances that are just fresh and fruity and watery and a fragrance that has a very organic feeling, definitely check this fragrance out. This is L'Imperatrice and it's by Dolce & Gabbana. The next fragrance to make this list is from the house of Armani. This fragrance is from their Diamonds collection, and this one is called Violet. This is a fruity floral fragrance with a gourmand touch. Very unique fragrance, but I really like this one. And when I smell this fragrance for the very first time, I had to catch up because I've never smelled anything like this. But thankfully, I gave it a chance. It grew on me, and it's actually one of my favorite fragrances from the house of Armani. I think it's so unique, but at the same time, it is just so pretty. It's so youthful. I just completely love this one. But yes, I would say that Armani did step out of the box with this one. I don't think it's the kind of fragrance that you'll smell and just say, oh, that's boring, it's typical. Because in all honesty, it is not. Now, let me give you guys the notes on this one. So this fragrance opens up with notes of raspberry, lychee, and passion fruit. In the heart, we have violet, Bulgarian rose, and lily of the valley. And in the base, we have praline, vanilla, and patchouli. I read those notes and it's a bit confusing because the notes that I'm seeing here is just not what I'm experiencing when I smell this fragrance. For example, I'm just not getting violet. Like, violet is a note that I'm very familiar with. Once I'm smelling a fragrance that has violets in there, I'm gonna pick it up. Even if it's in the smallest amount, I'm gonna pick it up. Now, if I didn't look at the notes, I would have sworn that this was a black currant type of scent, because it does have that tart, fruity, slightly green type scent that we all know and love about black currant. But I guess that combination of the raspberry, the praline, and the vanilla could probably give you that type of scent. Regardless of what I'm picking up here, this is a beautiful fruity scent with a bit of greenness, a bit of tartness, and a bit of a gourmand touch. Very unique. Like I said, it wasn't love at first sniff for me. As a matter of fact, I almost returned it. But once I got used to that scent, it was just love after that. I really adore this fragrance. And I think if you like fruity fragrances, but you're looking for something that steps out of the box a little bit, definitely look into this one. This is Armani's Diamond Violet. The next fragrance that I have on this list most definitely belongs on this list because it does fit the bill. This is a fragrance that comes off very fruity. It comes off musky. There's some florals here, but it is so unique. And I don't have anything else in my collection that smells like this. Never experienced anything like this before or after experiencing this fragrance. It's from the house of Marc Jacobs, and this one is called Decadence, also Decadence. Now, this is the perfect time of year to wear this fragrance. This perfume literally screams springtime. I've been waiting all year to wear this fragrance. Not to say that you can't wear this one all year round, because you absolutely can. When it was colder, I was definitely wearing this fragrance, but I think it's just more suitable for warm weather. It's a beautiful fragrance, but it's definitely unique. And it could come off a little bit polarizing. This is not a basic type of perfume. You're not gonna encounter smells like this every single day. For sure you're not. Now, let me give you guys the notes on this fragrance. This opens up with pear, blackcurrant, and ivy. In the heart, we have magnolia, lily of the valley, and jasmine. And in the base, we have raspberry, white amber, and cashmere wood. Now, the dominant note in this fragrance is pear. So if you like a fleshy, slightly sweet green pear, you'll definitely like this fragrance, because for the most part, that's what you're gonna get. Definitely picking up the ivy heavily in this fragrance. So I would call this a pear and ivy combo, of course, with some woodiness and muskiness under that. It's very green, it's fresh, it's bright, it's uplifting. It's just one of those fragrances that smells like the outdoors. It has a casual vibe to it. Every single time I smell this fragrance, I think about a dewy forest. What I also like about this fragrance, other than the fact that it's fruity and floral and fresh and clean, is that woodiness and muskiness that we have in the base. It is just so good. It's so pretty. Definitely not a basic type of fragrance. Definitely fits the bill if you're looking for something that's youthful, fun, fresh, casual, but, you know, a little bit edgy. For sure, that's what this fragrance is definitely given. So the next fragrance that I have on this list is a beautiful fragrance. I didn't always think that, because this is not a new fragrance. It's been around for a very long time. And I remember the first time I smelled this fragrance, I was like, no, thank you. but I revisited this fragrance and I'm totally in love. It's from the house of Juicy Couture, and this is the original Juicy Couture perfume. This is the OG. I think this is where it all started. I could be wrong, but this is probably one of Juicy Couture's first fragrances. This is actually a floral fruity fragrance. It opens up with notes of watermelon, passion fruit, hyacinth, green apple, marigold, green leaves, and mandarin orange. In the heart we have tuberose, lily, and rose hip, and in the base we have creme brulee, caramel, vanilla, precious woods, and patchouli. So there's so much going on in this fragrance. But when you smell this, there's only a few of these notes that you're really gonna experience. And for the most part, you're gonna definitely smell the tuberose. So this is very heavy on tuberose. And this is not bubblegummy type of tuberose. This is like more of a green, fresh tuberose. I really do like the way the tuberose is done here. The reason why this fragrance is just so beautiful and just so special and so unique is because that clean, fresh green tuberose is paired with creme brulee. Definitely not the combo you'd expect, but that's what makes this fragrance special. Even though the tuberose is so dominant here, it's right at the forefront of the fragrance, you could definitely feel that fruitiness under all of that, along with that gourmand touch that's coming in from the creme brulee. Beautiful fragrance. If you're looking for a fruity floral that feels a little bit more mature than your standard girly fruity floral fragrances, definitely try this one out. I would say that this is a very grown-up scent, but there's still something very youthful and pretty and unique about this fragrance. This is my absolute favorite fragrance from the house of Juicy Couture, and I've been through a lot of Juicy Couture fragrances. Another fragrance that I will probably compare this fragrance to is Burberry London. It does have that vibe, that scent. They have their differences, but the scent profile is kind of like the same, you know, if you understand what I'm trying to say here. But anyway, guys, let's move on. This is Juicy Couture by Juicy Couture. So the next fragrance that I have on this list is actually from a clothing store. I'm one of those people who, when I go into clothing stores, I'm always like trying to see what perfumes they have. So sometimes I'll just walk into a clothing store, not even trying to buy clothes. I'm just trying to look at the perfumes. In one of those instances, I walked into Charlotte Russe and saw this perfume, tested it, and was like, you're coming home with me because you are special. This is a pretty youthful smelling fragrance. It just has like a cute smell, but the longer you wear this one, the more you'll realize that this is just way much more than a pretty youthful, you know, type of perfume. There's just something incredibly pleasing about this fragrance. This has notes of sweet mango, rose, jasmine petals, and warm sandalwood. For sure, when you spray this fragrance out, you're gonna smell that sweet mango. Very juicy, very sweet, it's fresh, but you also pick up on the jasmine petals, which gives it this beautiful, clean, fresh, slightly soapy scent. So that combination of the soapy jasmine with the mango, it sounds weird, but it so works. Even though the vibe that you're gonna get from this fragrance is flirty and playful and cherry and youthful, there's a subtle sensuality to the fragrance that I'm picking up on here. It smells so good, and it's surprisingly long lasting for being a $10 perfume. Okay, beautiful, beautiful fragrance. I really adore this one. It's called Refuge Adore. No pun intended, but yeah, beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Definitely one to try out if you're able to. So the next fragrance on this list is one that is so underrated. A lot of people don't talk about this fragrance. Super affordable, so pretty, and it just baffles me that not a lot of people, including myself, talk about this one, but it's one that I really see as very special. Definitely not a fragrance that I see as basic. I think it has some specialness to it, but it does retain that feeling of being people pleasing, if that makes sense. So the fragrance that I'm talking about here is from the house of Oscar de la Renta, and this one is called Oscar Fleur. Beautiful fragrance, so gorgeous. And like I said, this fragrance feels more like a fruity floral type scent, because when I smell this one, it's hard to not pick up on the fruitiness of this fragrance. I'm gonna read you guys the notes. The top notes in this fragrance are neroli, ivy, and lychee. In the heart, we have peony, pink jasmine, and mango. And in the base, we have cassis, musk, and tonka bean. I do pick up on the florals that's in this fragrance. It's very clean, it's fresh. It does have a very pink floral type scent. There's a green watery fruitiness to this fragrance. I really don't see it as a basic fragrance, even though some people may think that, but I think there's something about this fragrance that just kind of puts it out of the box a little bit. I'm not really sure what's responsible for that, but it's a beautiful fragrance. So let me know if you have this fragrance. Let me know what you think about it. This is Oscar Flor, and it's from the house of Oscar de la Renta. We are pretty much down to the last fragrance on this list. If you enjoyed this video, if it was super helpful, go ahead, do me the hugest favor and like this video. Okay guys, so let's move on to this last fragrance. This is Angel, and this is the 2019 version. This fragrance opens up with peony and mandarin orange. In the heart, we have praline, apple, and red berries. And in the base, we have patchouli, whitewoods, and cedar. This fragrance right here is so delicious. For sure, you're gonna pick up on the fruitiness, specifically the red berries. And the red berries here are pretty syrupy. You also get the green apple, which gives it a bit of a sharp tartness, which kind of cuts through a bit of the sweetness. And of course, you get the florals, which come through a little bit clean and fresh. And of course, you do have that angel DNA underneath all of that, so you could definitely feel the patchouli. If you follow my channel, you know I'm not a big fan of patchouli, but here it's just so well done. It doesn't feel dirty, it doesn't go weird. It's just so good. If you think you like a fragrance with a heavy syrupy red berry note along with green apples and some freshness from the florals with that angel DNA, definitely try this fragrance out. It is just so good. Even if you don't like the original angel fragrance, I could still see you enjoying this one, because trust me, I don't like the original, but this eau de toilette right here is beautiful. And this is definitely a fragrance you could pretty much wear all year round. I mean, it's just beautiful. Okay guys, so that brings me to the end of this video. Once again, if you made it this far, go ahead and like the video. I am trying to get to 20K, so if you are new and you are not yet subscribed, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. It will most definitely be appreciated. Also guys, if you are not yet subscribed to my beauty and lifestyle channel, go below in my description box. There will be a link there. Click on it, go ahead and subscribe to my beauty and lifestyle channel. So much fun on that channel. Okay guys, so I'm out of here. Bye.